Good evening, and welcome to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Gacha, episode 42. So, this story begins with the two remaining Abyss Alice Kings, and Gigisto, or Gigits, is wondering, okay, Germain is dead. Where the hell is my piece of the Philosopher's Stone? And Gehalia was like, what are you talking about, your piece? That piece is mine. And already, well, we have noticed this before, that this trinity of kings, it's talk about, how you treat your friends here, because they do not like each other. And it looks like they're in competition of who's going to be the top dog. And whoever obtains the most pieces of the stone becomes more powerful and ends up, ruling the Trinity. And I'm getting this vibe that these three will do anything to obtain those pieces of the Philosopher's Stone, to the point where I think they're willing to backstab their fellow kingsmen in order to get ahead. And I wouldn't be surprised that either one of the kings may use the Kamen Riders to do their dirty work to obtain their piece of the pie, which is power. And the two kings were wondering, okay, so Germain is dead. Where is this piece? And here comes Master Grayon. He interrupts the two kings, and they are like, what in the hell are you doing here? Why is a mere doll here? And Master Grayon tells them, well, I'm using Germain's body. And, my soul and his body are a perfect fit for each other. And they're like, oh, so this guy has Germain's body, which means he still has the pieces of the stone that the kings want. And Gehalia was like, well, so you have been seduced by the power of the abyss. And Grayon was like, hell no. No. That's not the case. My goal has always been the same. My goal is to recreate El Dorado. I want to create a world full of gold. And neither of you two are going to interfere with my plans. And of course, vice versa. And the kings at the end of the scene were like disgusted by this man and decides to give him the boot. But not before Grayon says, like, this, I'm giving you guys a warning. Do not interfere with my plans or else. And he disappears. We move on from there to the alchemy school that only has 4 students and 1 lousy teacher. And Kudo returns from the library or something because she holds a book that belongs to her father. And she gives it to Minato sensei and tells his students that, this book might as well be, a forbidden alchemy because it contains a lot of ancient magic. And I was like, wait a minute. Why do you need the book when you have the writer of the book in school somewhere? So I'm like, where the hell is Fuga then? Where is Fuga? Is he still recovering? Is he in the building still? We don't get any information in regards to what happened to Fuga. Because the last time we saw Fuga, he was saved, and Minato sensei and I think Kyoka was helping him go to a room to recover. So why can't the students and Minato sensei approach him for his wisdom and guidance, since he's supposed to be the top alchemist of all Japan. Why not, like, if he's that injured, he can still talk, he can still provide the wisdom and knowledge that these kids need in order to go against the forces of darkness. But apparently Minato Sensei and Kyoka must have sent him into the character closet to recover. And we're not going to see him again, maybe towards the end of towards the final episodes, which is 8 episodes. Okay, writers, I mean, another lost opportunity, because Fuga is a valuable character. How come you don't use him? And also tell him, hey, Master Grayon has returned. Okay. So desperate times comes desperate measures. And we get to Sabi and Renge arguing for some reason. And their argument leads to Hotarou spilling his formula onto poor Kudo. She gets frozen on the floor. She can't move. Hotarou is in a panic. Everybody's in a panic. Minato Sensei's like, I needed that formula. What the hell? So everybody's in the panic. And before I get any further, I have to say this. Remember last week when I told you guys that I hope to God that in the next episode, Kudo will not go into depressed mode and blame herself for what happened with Weird Sister number 1 and the resurrection of Grayon, that sort of thing. We didn't have that here, thank God. So thank you for that, because I was going to be on it in case Kudo was going to go emo and play the blame game all over again. But luckily it didn't happen, except that she got frozen. So poor Kudo gets frozen, and Spanner enters the classroom with a message from Kyoka that there is video footage of a chemy, a 102 chemy, which surprises everybody, especially Minato Sensei, when he said, well, it's forbidden to create chemies after the 101. So we need to do research and capture it and see who is responsible in creating the chemy, that sort of thing. So Minato Sensei sends Sabi, Spanner, and Hotarou on a mission to discover what the hell is going on and capture the chemy, that sort of thing. And Spanner was like, Kudo, why are you on the floor for? And it's funny how Hotarou was like, and Rega's like, So nobody in that classroom told Spanner, why is Kudo on the floor? It's like, it's too embarrassing. I'm not going to tell you. I'm sure if Hotarou told the truth, Spanner was like, what a ridiculous joke. Like, and also Spanner said, like, so I'm babysitting this too, especially Hotarou. And to this day, Spanner does not like Hotarou, even though I feel like he sort of respects Hotarou to a certain extent, but he's just like, I don't want to babysit this freshman, or why are you sticking me with him of all people? Oh God, Spanner is funny in this episode, believe it or not. He's just anyways, so they go into the woods, and all of a sudden Spanner trips, because apparently the chemy just trips Spanner, and Hotarou and Spanner look, and they spotted something moving in the grass or the leaves, and Spanner gets up, and they both chase after it, and Sabi all of a sudden says, wait, do not run, no, don't. And the two boys gets hit by an invisible wall, and they just that was funny. And they both trip. Spanner was like pushing Hotarou down. Like if you were to watch the scene over again, you see Spanner just like laying his hand on Hotarou's face and just knocks him down, and Hotarou's like, oh, they're like fighting like little girls on the ground. And then here comes this strange man and yells at the three boys like, what the hell are you doing here? And Sabi names this man Keiichi, and Hotarou's like, do you know this man? Oh yes, he's my older brother. And Hotarou's like, older brother? You never told me you had extended family. I assume you live by yourself. Like you're the only boy in the entire family, only child. Nope, not the case. And Keiichi looks at Sabi with cold eyes, like he wants to murder his younger brother. And Hotarou's like, what's going on? So we move on from there to this scene where Keiichi leads them to whatever, and Hotarou talks to Spanner for a little bit and asks, like, is it just me, or are these two at odds with each other? And Spanner's like, it's a brother's spat, they fight and argue. That's what siblings do sometimes. And so Keiichi uses his ring of power, to unveil the invisibility cloak, and lo and behold, we see this giant building called the Kong Laboratories. They go inside and they meet with the professor, the owner of the building, named Director Mami, or in this case is Kong Mami. So for the sake of, how I give nicknames, so I just gonna call her Director Mami. And let's see. So Director Mami introduces herself and was told about Hotarou due to Sabi. So apparently Sabi and Director Mami were in contact with each other for nearly a year, I guess. And sorry with the long pause, I'm looking at my notes here. So we get a discovery as to what they are researching. And according to Director Mami, she is trying to create chemies with this chemy research. And Spanner all of a sudden was like, oh, hold on. Creating chemies is forbidden. You have broken a ton of rules here. But the director told Spanner that this building, me and everybody else who works in this building, are no longer associated with the Alchemy Association. So their rules no longer apply to them. And they've been trying to create chemies for as long as they started researching this research, and nothing came out of it. And then Spanner broke the news that Grayon has returned, which for some reason there was a long pause. It felt longer than a minute, and it just made the scene very awkward. And the director Mami decides that, hey, well, thank you for letting me know. I need to go back and work, and then Keiichi gives the cold shoulder towards Sabi and just leaves. And Spanner is getting this vibe that something is wrong here. Like he has this sixth sense, like, wait a minute, something is strange going on here. But Hotarou breaks the ice and says, well, let's just find the chemy ourselves. And then Sabi was like, all right, I'll give you a tour around the laboratory and we'll do our chemy hunting and all that good stuff. So they go on to the first place in the grand tour. The first stop is the alchemy study room where Sabi was raised, and this is where he learned everything about alchemy, to the love of chemies, because this place is where he learned about chemies, and that grew to loving them and want to study more. And we learn that's the main reason why he decided to learn in the academy, because of his love for chemies. And we get to see this wall of kids' drawings of chemies, which made Hotarou smile. And then this little girl with an Isaac tablet shows up, and Hotarou's like, Isaac? You have an Isaac too? And Sabi was like, that's a Mark III, I believe. And Hotarou's like, Mark III? So there's more of these iPads? And Keiichi interrupts and tells the group that he's the one responsible for creating the Isaac iPads. And the main goal for those iPads is to communicate between humans and chemies. And obviously, Hotarou is in cloud 9. The moment he heard those words, he's like, he gets overly excited. He thinks that these iPads are like the first steps into his gacha dream of creating this utopia where humans and chemies can coexist, that sort of thing. So he is literally in cloud 9, and you can see it. And Sabi is praising his brother, telling Hotarou that his research is unique and one of a kind. But all of a sudden, the older brother just gives him the cold shoulder again. He yells at him for interrupting him and just pushes him off and telling him, like, do what you need to do here and just leave. And he just goes back to work. And Hotarou asks Sabi, like, what's going on here? Like, why is your brother acting this way towards you? What did you do? And unfortunately, as of right now, we don't know the answer as to why Keiichi is so harsh and cold towards Sabi. All that we know that he wasn't always this way, according to him. So we move on from that awkward moment to them going to another place, but then Spanner gets stopped by this same little girl, and this little girl tells Spanner that I know some secrets about this laboratory. Do you want to learn more? You just follow me. So Spanner decides to break away from the group and just let the kid take him to where he needs to go, whatever. So we move on to Frozen Kudo and Renge. She creates this new formula that in the hopes of unfreezing Kudo, but in the process she ends up getting frozen herself. So we have two girls frozen, and Miro Sensei enters the classroom and he was like, what the hell? Seriously, girls? Seriously? And all the while, we go immediately to Spanner and the little girl. The little girl is trying to play with Spanner in the form of word chain. And Spanner obviously was like, I'm not here to play. You told me you have something and you're going to take me somewhere. So please do it. I'm not here to play, right? And the girl was like, oh, so you are an idiot then. You must be a novice alchemist. And here comes Spanner, like, not talking down on her, but he was like, I am a top S alchemist. Do you know what that is? And the girl just completely ignores him and just walks away. And Spanner just chases after her and tries to explain what a top S alchemist is. Oh, God, that was funny. Oh. So we move on from that awkward exchange. Oh. To this weird scene with Director Mami and the fridge, and how she's just holding the fridge up like it was like a baby or something. And she's just like, don't worry, everything's gonna be all right. You're locked up. And apparently, there is a connection between her and Grayon, because there is a picture of them and a group of people together. You see Grayon's ghost, air quotes, haunting Mommy Director, and chases it off. And then she ends up getting possessed by the 102, and you see her feet being as if she was getting electrocuted. So we move on to, let me see. Yes, to the end of the tour, because Sabi and Hotarou, they hear screaming. So the tour ends, they go outside, you see a bunch of people running, and Spanner and the little girl joins Sabi and Hotarou, and all of them sees this Melgime, and they were surprised that a Melgime is here of all places. And then Sabi notices that this Melgime changes from one thing to another. So it used to be a turtle, and now it turns into a cannon. And Sabi's like, this Melgime is like unstable. And so Sabi and our cute little blue rainbow dragon were in charge of analyzing this Melgime, while obviously Hotarou and Spanner fights the Melgime. And the fight was okay. I did enjoy this one scene where Hotarou gets slammed by a tree, and the Melgime approaches Hotarou, and Hotarou uses the chains behind the jetpack's back, and the Melgime gets chained up and uses the fire on his back to burn the Melgime. So I thought it was unique. So I thought it was pretty cool. And so we see Spanner and Hotarou fight the Melgime, and then we go back to the alchemy school with the two frozen girls. And Renge was wondering, what's so bad about this drawing that Sabi was like, please do not touch? Because in the beginning of this episode, I don't remember telling you guys this, but if I repeated myself, I do apologize. Renge spotted a weird drawing, like with scribbles, and the moment Sabi saw this picture, he just gets shocked and tells Renge do not touch, which causes Hotarou to knock his potion onto Kuro. So Renge was wondering what's up with the Sabi's drawing, what's the secret behind it, and Kuro was like, well, maybe he was a bad artist and he scribbled out of frustration, so maybe that's why. But then all of a sudden, something weird happened. You see the black scribbles floating away, and we see a tortoise or a turtle with a cannon on its shell. So what's the connection here with Sabi? Well, we get into the laboratory scene outside where Spanner once again gets his gets another L. Hotarou gets beaten too. Keiichi shows up and he notices, the cannon and the tortoise. And Sabi and Keiichi look at each other and was like, something is familiar about this. And then Keiichi was like, no, it can't be. And so the Amalgam turns towards Sabi and Keiichi and goes after them. But Keiichi yelled and screamed at it and just runs away. So after that fight, everybody involved went back to Mommy's office to warn her about this Amalgam, and then we get this reveal that this chemy was indeed created in the laboratory. So Director Mami lied to them. And to make matters even more interesting, the chemy's creation was Keiichi. He was the creator of the particular chemy, and everybody was in shock. And this causes Spanner, well, before I go to Spanner, Director Mami was upset with Keiichi because they created their own chemy. I'm sorry. And she was like, if Keiichi would have done more research on this project, we would have even more chemies. But instead, he wastes his time on creating Isaac iPads. And it's just, we could have been ahead of our research by now. But you decided to do your own thing, which causes Spanner to be like, this research that you're doing is dangerous. And it needs to be stopped. Because what happens if this particular project of yours lands into the wrong hands? And it could lead to the exposure of the alchemy world. And it's something that humanity is not ready for yet. So it's just this research is bringing nothing but trouble. And also, Spanner mentioned that it could lure out Grayon. Grayon, if he ends up knowing about this laboratory and its research, he will come and take that research and twists it into his own evil image and purpose. I mean, Spanner makes great points. And it causes Mother Director to go berserk. And we all know that she is the Amalgam and she is attacking people. And we go to a rematch. Amalgam versus Spanner and Hotarou. And this particular matchup, even though it's meant to be serious, I have to say it was one of the most funny fights I ever seen so far. Because Hotarou asks Spanner to, hey, let me borrow one of your cards. And Spanner was like, I'm not a charity case. But he ends up giving the card to Hotarou. And I'm like, Spanner, when is the last time Hotarou asked you to borrow one of your cards? From what I can remember, he only borrowed one of your cards maybe once or twice. I'm just saying. And Hotarou used this combination, and he ends up creating a CGI of a pirate ship with fists and 4 wheels. And so this pirate ship with wheels ends up punching the Amalgam to the face multiple times, throws it like a baseball, and then to finish this matchup up, Hotarou grabs Spanner and tells him, hey, get inside this cannon. I'm like, what's going on? Just get inside the cannon. And he goes inside the cannon, and you see Spanner at the end of the cannon, and it says, look, I'm gonna get you for this. And he shoots Spanner out from the cannon. He stops the energy blast, and then after that, here comes Hotarou shooting out from the cannon and does his Rainbow Fever, destroys the Melgime, captures the card, saves the day. And Director Mami is yet to say, please do not stop my research, and it's the only thing I have. She is talking in gibberish, and she collapses. And then there's some random people from the laboratory grabs her, and I think Keiichi tells them, hey, just take her to her office instead of the hospital. I'm like, wait a minute. Why are you taking her to the office? Take her to the hospital wing. Why the office? But okay. So they take her over there, and all of a sudden Hotarou was shocked, like, wait a minute, what's going on with this chemy? And Spanner and Sabi look at the card, and it just disappears. It turns into goo and just goes through, the ground like a symbiote whatever. And the card is blank. So all three boys were like, what the hell just happened? And to make matters even worse, we get to see Master Grayon, and he's walking in the woods. So I'm guessing he is coming to the Kong laboratories. And that's the end of the episode, my friends. So this episode, we get a lot of reveals. We now know more about Sabi, something that I wish that we could have learned earlier on in the season. But we get to learn about Sabi, him being raised in the laboratories, the reason behind of his love towards chemies, and the want to move his learning to the academy. We learn the origins of the Isaac iPads, where Keiichi was the creator of those iPads using AI and soul mutilation. And we learn that both Keiichi and Director Mami were responsible in creating the 102 chemy. They lied to the heroes, and we still don't know why his older brother is acting so horrible towards Sabi, as if he murdered somebody or betrayed him. We don't know anything about his older brother to know what the hell is going on. Hotarou tried, but he's like, he wasn't acting this way. He was kind and loving towards me. So we'll find out later on, of course, but as of right now, we don't know. Grayon has a piece of the philosopher's stone because he's using Germain's body. Again, we don't know if Germain's soul is still in there or he's a corpse. And in any case, he got replaced with Master Grayon. And speaking of Master Grayon, there is connection with him and Director Mami because they used to work together. And now he's coming to the laboratories for some reason. And we have funny moments with Spanner. Kudo and Renge ends up getting frozen. And there's a connection with the drawing of the tortoise in the cannon between Sabi and an older brother. Of course, we'll find out again in the next episode. And where is Fuga? Why rescue him and put him somewhere in the school and not use him? Tell him that Grayon has returned. Pick his brain. He is the top alchemist. Pick his brain. He will help you. He doesn't need to fight. He could just stand around and be helpful in the classroom, and that's it. Do that, but nah. He's recovering in the character closet, guys, with Keiichi and Mama-san. So he's not alone, at least. Other than that, I think that is it, guys. I do apologize for the long pauses because, I'm looking at my notes to make sure that I don't miss anything. But in case if I did, please write in the comments below. Did you like the episode? Did you dislike the episode? Tell me everything in the comments below as well. We're close to the ending, guys. We have like 7 episodes left. And again, where is Fuga? There's no information in terms of who the hell is Hotarou's father, where was he at, and all that stuff. Like, I don't understand why the writers decide to do a Sabi origin story, an Isaac origin story, when they should have done that from the very beginning. It's just bad placement. And it's just, I don't know. I know I'm nitpicking, but at least I explained to you why I'm nitpicking, because to me, this should have been done sooner, not at the tail end of the season. But that's just my opinion. Other than that, I think that is it, guys. So thank you so much for listening. Give a like if you like it, and please subscribe. And I'll see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!